Okay, guys, so this is kind of going to be the intro to all the preliminary testimony that we're about to hear. So I'm going to do this little series. We're just going to call it, I don't know, the preliminary. And this is kind of the intro to that. So just to kind of give you guys a brief little rundown of some of the things that we're going to go through. First up, you're going to hear Chris Sanchez, and he is Alexee's nurse. He's the one who unhooked her. He's the one who was at the bathroom listening in towards the end of, right before she came out. And that's pretty much his involvement besides going into the bathroom a few times. You're going to hear next is going to be Lori. Then is going to be Leela, the housekeeper. Then we have HT. He is the charge nurse. Then we're going to have Dr. Vasquez, and then medical examiner, forensic pathologist. And I'm going to break those up into different parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. My Alexee Trevizo series is pretty long, so I'm going to probably make another Alexee Trevizo series separate, again, just calling it the preliminary. And we'll just kind of go from there. Now, in the initial one with Chris, we're not going to hear as much of the nonsense. With him, mostly what you get is a slight bit of exaggeration. Yes, I went there several times. Yes, I did this. Yes, we had this. This all comes together in totality with all of the testimony. And that's the biggest thing, is that you have things like him saying he did the blood work when he didn't do the blood work. Again, they're little things. They had a UA, they didn't have a UA. He leaves out critical information. For example, he talks about her not being on her period. Her not being pregnant. In all reality, according to the medical records, the only thing she ever told him was that she was actively bleeding and on her period as soon as she came into the hospital, which she was obviously actively bleeding, and we're going to get into that later on. But these are kind of the things that are going to go through. You're going to hear Dr. Vasquez lie about the exam she did on Alexee. You're going to hear Leela talk about the condition of the garbage can and what she was able to see. And I'm going to tell you why that's important with Chris and with everybody else, because they all have different stories. Now, just so you guys know, at the beginning of this, every single one of them were booted out of the courtroom. So nobody got to hear somebody else's testimony. They were just testifying blindly, not knowing what the other person said or was going to say. And so it was just really interesting to see things when Chris was talking about that he was able to see the baby in the garbage can. They're talking about Lori opening up the bag. Lori doesn't mention that. And so there's a lot to this. We're going to go ahead and dive in, and we're going to start with Chris Sanchez. Like I said, there's not a whole lot with Chris Sanchez. It's when you kind of put everything together and then look in comparison with everybody else's testimony that you start to see the bigger picture and where all the lies are. Now, in my YouTube, there's a link underneath my profile, a YouTube link. You're going to start to see the videos. I'm going to post them as we go. First is going to be Chris, and then Lori, and so on and so forth. Also in my drive, which is the link tree, the very first one for case files go under Alexee Trevizo. Scroll down to the bottom, they're numbered. You're going to start to see those there as well. So there's a couple of different places you guys can go ahead and see them. I will upload them as we do the videos. Right now, I believe I already have Chris's uploaded, possibly Lori's. But let's go ahead and dive into part 1, the preliminary hearing testimony of Chris Sanchez.